56 years. No championships. The San Francisco Giants were cursed. Their best hitter's belt popped open during a game. He was that out of shape. Their shortstop was considered washed up. Their first baseman nobody wanted. But somehow this collection of misfits pulled off the most unlikely championship in baseball history. And the secret to how they did it, it wasn't what anyone expected. Before we dive into this incredible story, hit that like button if you're ready to hear about one of the greatest underdog stories in baseball history. Subscribe and turn on notifications. This story has more twists than you can imagine. But first, you need to understand just how impossible this seemed. 1954. That's when the Giants last won a championship. They weren't even in San Francisco yet. Since then, heartbreak after heartbreak. An earthquake stopped their 1989 World Series, 5 outs away in 2002 before it all fell apart. By 2010, their roster looked like a retirement home mixed with a rehab clinic. Pablo Sandoval showed up to spring training so overweight, management called hotels to cut off his room service. This was their offensive leader. Edgar Renteria, 35 years old. The Red Sox had just released him after his worst season ever. Aubrey Huff got a bargain basement contract because most teams didn't want him in their clubhouse. Every expert gave them zero chance. And honestly, looking at this roster, who could blame them? But there was something the experts missed. Something that would change everything. Tim Lincecum looked like he should be delivering pizza, not throwing 95-mile-per-hour fastballs. But he was coming off back-to-back Cy Young awards. The regular season started exactly as predicted. Dead last in runs scored, AT&T Park was nicknamed AT&T Mausoleum because it was so quiet. Game after game, they'd lose 2-1, 3-2. Close, heartbreaking defeats that felt all too familiar to Giants fans. But something was happening that nobody noticed at first. Jonathan Sanchez threw a no-hitter. The first sign that this pitching staff was special. Brian Wilson with his ridiculous black beard was shutting down everyone. His swagger started spreading through the clubhouse. By September, the impossible was happening. They were in a playoff race. When they clinched that wild card spot, it felt like they'd already won the World Series. But the real test was just beginning. The Atlanta Braves were waiting. More talent at every position. More experience, more everything. Game 1 started like a disaster. The Giants looked nervous, overmatched. Everything the critics predicted seemed to be coming true. Then Aubrey Huff did something nobody expected. The journeyman first baseman started hitting like he was 25 again. Suddenly, the guy nobody wanted was carrying the offense. Edgar Renteria began turning back the clock. Clutch hit after clutch hit exactly when they needed them most. Even Pablo Sandoval, 30 pounds overweight and running like he was carrying a refrigerator, was making plays that defied physics. They beat the Atlanta Braves in 4 games. 4 games. The baseball world was stunned. Next up, the defending National League champions. The Philadelphia Phillies had Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, a lineup that could beat you 10 different ways. Every analyst said the same thing. Nice run, Giants, but this is where it ends. Instead, something magical happened. The Giants pitching staff made Philadelphia's feared lineup look ordinary. Game after game, they threw strikes and challenged hitters like they owned the place. Edgar Renteria was playing like it was 2004 all over again when he helped Boston break their curse. When they finally eliminated Philadelphia, AT&T Park exploded. 56 years of frustration poured out all at once. Only the Texas Rangers stood in their way. Texas was making their first World Series appearance ever, led by MVP candidate Josh Hamilton. The Rangers were favored. Their offense could put up crooked numbers in a hurry. Game 1 started like their worst nightmare. Texas jumped ahead early. The magic seemed to be running out. Then Edgar Renteria stepped into the box in the 5th inning. 2-run homer. The place went absolutely crazy. 2 innings later, he came up again. Could lightning strike twice? Another home run. At 35 years old, Edgar Renteria had just become the oldest player in World Series history to hit 2 home runs in one game. Giants won 11-7. Suddenly, the impossible felt inevitable. What happened next was pure domination. The Giants pitching staff made the Rangers look like they'd never seen a curveball. Lincecum was unhittable. The bullpen was lights out. Pablo Sandoval, the overweight kid who could barely run to first base, was making diving catches and getting clutch hits. By Game 5, the entire city of San Francisco was holding its breath. One win away from ending 56 years of heartbreak. When that final out was coming, when they were about to win their first World Series since 1954, the emotional release was overwhelming. Grown men cried. Fans called relatives who'd waited decades for this moment. The San Francisco Giants were World Series champions. After 56 years, the drought was over. Edgar Renteria was named World Series MVP. The player most teams considered finished had just delivered a championship. Pablo Sandoval, despite all his conditioning issues, had played a crucial role in the most unlikely championship run in baseball history. The championship parade drew nearly 1 million people. Fans brought pictures of relatives who died waiting for this moment. For fans who'd lived through decades of heartbreak, this championship healed wounds that had been carried for generations. But here's what nobody knew at the time. This was just the beginning. The Giants would win 2 more championships in 2012 and 2014, creating a dynasty nobody saw coming. The 2010 Giants proved that sometimes the most unlikely heroes can achieve the impossible. If you love these underdog stories, stick around. We've got plenty more tales of triumph against all odds.